Let's talk sights, sight alignment, and let's start talking about vision. All right, first off, on this handgun, you'll notice that there are two independent sighting systems. I have both irons, a rear and a front, and I also have a red dot. Now, whether I am aiming, shooting, or zeroing, I am only concerned about the dot and not worried about co-witnessing the dot to the front sight. I'm certainly not using the front sight as a guide to aim. I am simply using the red dot relative to the target. I've actually got some visual aids that'll help us understand and see what my red dot looks like on the target. First off, I am going to pick a spot on this target to focus. Okay, what that means is that this spot on the target will be in visual focus, not this stuff. So this could be a little misleading because the housing, my hand, and certainly the red dot will be out of focus. In fact, it'll just look like a ghostly image that I'm looking through as I'm focusing visually here on the center of this target, okay? In an ideal world, my sights would look like this. My red dot would just be parked right there in the center of that target. However, if you're like me, hypertensive and shaky in general, right? Your dot's actually gonna be looking like this, right? So the term sight picture can be a little misleading. It's more like a sight movie, right? As I see my dot kind of interacting with the sights, I know that I am aligned. I know that my wobble zone, right, which is what this dot is actually doing, is creating a zone in which I know that that wobble is gonna interact with the center of the target. And as long as I'm looking in the center of that target, there's a small correction that happens every so often, and it happens more often than looking at the dot. If I look at the dot, you'll just have kind of a wobble zone that never quite interacts with the center of the target. Okay, so I need to be focused in the center, and I need to just park this dot right here. However, if my target was the entire A zone, then all I would really need to see is just like red somewhere in the A zone like this, especially like on an initial presentation, and certainly on a recovery after that first shot. The stipulation is I still have to be focused on the center of that target in a small space, which is the center of this circle, right? So for this demonstration, I'm going to intentionally misalign the dot in different parts of the housing, and we're gonna see what the results are. So now we understand what sight alignment looks like. Let's talk about eye dominance, okay? I have to understand that I need to align this optic window in front of one of my eyes. I've seen a couple different ways that people test this and even establish this for themselves. There's the old hand diamond test where you form your hands into a diamond and you just bring your hands back to your eye, and whichever eye is left uncovered, that is your dominant eye. Now, I am a right-handed shooter and I aim with my right eye. That's to say that that window shows up and lines up in front of my right eye. And we also need to understand that I can't allow myself to chase the dot, right? Or even as I'm presenting the gun in front of my eye or in front of my face, I can't go down there fishing visually for this dot, right? So it shouldn't look like this, right? You guys can see like I'm looking down at the gun and I'm looking for the dot. Oh, there's the dot, and then I steer it onto the target. Instead, I want to be fixated in depth on my target at a specific spot and just align the dot in front of my dominant eye, just like that. And with enough practice, you can actually establish an index for yourself where you can just look at the spot, build your grip, and see the dot every time. So let's pull all this together. I'm going to send this target down range. All right, and just like I talked about before, I'm going to be intentionally misaligning that dot in the housing of the optic. All right, here we go. Going to start with up high. All right, to the right. All right, let's go down low in the bottom of the housing. All right, now last but not least, the left side of the housing. All right, we'll unload, show clear. And as you can see, I have favorable results on the target. Understanding vision and how they relate to the sights and how they work in concert with the grip and certainly with the trigger press is very important when it comes to performance shooting.